This is Micornus Phokane, the leader and the founder of Church Governance Solutions. Today, I want to speak to pastors that desire to have church buildings, pastors that desire for their church to have its own building. And this is very important because many pastors desire really to have their own church buildings and not rent, and not be in classrooms and so on. And want to speak about this, and these are the nuggets that will help you to basically develop that hunger, or rather develop that way of building your own church. And these tips have worked. We have seen them working. And in the past years, I've seen them working in churches where I've been before. We've taught about this, and they've actually helped a lot of pastors as well. But you need to be having a drive from the beginning that you need your church to have its own building. When you have got that desire, maybe this platform today is for you. We want to give you those tips, and we hope that these tips will help you today. Now, the first thing that you need to have is to develop serious hatred for renting and serious hatred to use a tent. Or you start to develop that. You start to hating to rent, to be in a school class somewhere. You start to develop hatred to rent a community hall and being in a community hall, and start hating that. You start to hate to rent somewhere, maybe in somebody's building and so on. When you start to develop that hatred of renting, then you're starting. Then you are in the beginning. Now also hate also the tendency of using a tent, or rather start hating fellowshipping in a tent, because when you are not having that enough hatred of that, you're not going to be able to start actually making a move or some improvement or plans to say we need our own buildings. Now you need to first feel really aggrieved by being in a tent, aggrieved by renting. When you start to feel that way, you are actually starting in the right footing. Secondly, you need to develop serious desire and drive to build the house of the Lord. Now, that desire is not for everyone, and I must really say that pastors should actually have that desire. To say, I've started a ministry, but ultimately, we need to have our own building. I know at a certain stage, because it's still early, your ministry is still young and small, you may not afford to actually even initiate building. But you must have that dream. You must have that plan. You must have that desire that you want to have your own building one day. Now, that desire is something that's very key, because if you don't have it, you need to develop it as soon as possible. Because the sooner you develop it, the sooner you're going to start focusing from earlier on to start thinking about a church building, to start thinking about building a church or the house of the Lord. And that's very key, that you develop that desire much earlier. And majority of us, we struggle to develop that desire. And we stay too long. We relax in rented places. We relax fellowshipping in tents as well. And we don't have a desire to actually develop and build the house of the Lord. The other thing that you need to do is to pursue to secure a land for the church as a matter of urgency. And I must really say that securing the land, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are ready to build, but it might mean that you're buying the land while the land is still less expensive, because sometimes we wait too long. By the time that we think of building, that's the time that we start going searching around for a land. By that time, the land is expensive. Our advice as Church Governance Solutions is that as a church, you must actually look for a land even when you're not ready to build yet. And you may not be aware that sometimes also a land, when it is there, it becomes a motivation for you as a church. And sometimes people start building when they see the land. But when there's no land at all, you relax, you sit back, and generally you find yourself delaying in making a move towards building a church or a building of your own. And that's very, very important that we emphasize, that to pursue to secure a land as soon as possible. There are those of you who are in places where lands are many. They are available right now. Your church where you are, there's a lands available around now. Now, the longer you delay, the more those lands will be occupied. And you realize by the time that you need a land, there's no land anymore because the land has been occupied. But when you remember when you arrived in the place, when you remember when you started your ministry in that place, you realize that by that time, there was a lot of land around you that you could have purchased actually in the meantime. And that is why I encourage ministers that are still using tents that if you purchase your own land, rather put up a tent in your own land. That's something. That's something great. Because having a tent, putting your tent in somebody's land is actually not right and cannot be compared to you purchasing a land and putting a tent on your own land. Somebody who's putting a tent on their own land, they are better than somebody who's putting a tent on somebody's land. And I hope this is clear, and I hope it actually makes you to understand exactly what we're talking about. So pursue buying your own land. The other thing that you need to do is to change the mindset of tithes as a money for the pastor's personal use. Because when you start to regard a tithe as a church finance, you are going to use tithes actually in building the church. And many pastors delay themselves because they see the tithes as their own personal pocket money. And therefore they use tithes for their own needs and therefore delay themselves in building the church. Now, we want to advise you as a Church Governance Solutions that tithes is the most stable form of church finances because it's predictable. It's something that you can actually, even if it's less members that are giving tithes, but you can predict it. You can have an amount that you can budget on, and therefore it helps actually for you to start the project of building based on a predictable income. And tithes can be that predictable income. But when you still see tithes as your own pocket money and you're relying on some other money from somewhere to build a church, you're going to take long, my brother. You're going to take long, my sister. And I want to urge you to say, please, maybe you need to rethink what tithe is all about and how you want to use it. Because majority of the people that have actually built churches are those pastors that are wise to understand that you can actually use the tithe as a stable income in the church and to be able to budget with that and start the project of building with that. And that makes it much more sustainable. Because, as I said, tithe is the most predictable amount that will come. So that's very, very important that you start to regard that. The other thing that would actually advise you is never wait to have lots of money to start a building project, but start with the little that you have. Because majority of the pastors will say, no, we don't have enough money. Now, pastor, there's no time that you'll have enough money. So when you've got the little that you have, start doing what you can. Buy the bricks that you can. Put up some sand that you can. Put up some few bags of cement that you can at that particular time. So you start with that, build the foundation. If you can afford the foundation at that time. After building the foundation, it may take some long time to put up the walls, but the fact that there's a foundation, remember that will encourage the people as well. Because there are some of the people that are encouraged in a project by seeing the project starting. When there's a project that starts and people see the progress of the project, people start becoming more motivated and people start participating in great numbers in that project. So building project is one of those that as a pastor, if you start even small that you can start, you are going to encourage your people because they're going to start to see the work that you do. They're going to start to see that you're already on the progress, and that progress they will never ignore. They will actually do things because they see that you're already serious about building. So that's very important that we make you aware of that as well. Don't wait until you have lots of money because lots of money may not be there. The other thing that's very crucial and very important, Give frequent financial updates to the church members, assuring them of the good use of the money. Because remember that when you are building people and you update the people, we've bought cement with this amount, we've bought sand with this amount, we've put them some steel with this amount. You're encouraging the people. Because people then start to see that our money is in good hands. Our finances are actually in good use. And when the finances are in good use, people are therefore encouraged to continue giving. When you don't give frequent feedback, you are discouraging the people and you're making them not to see progress and not to decide to give at all. And I want to urge you to regard that please give frequent feedback. It will encourage the people as well. Encourage members to tithe by not demanding too much from tithers. Instead, to let contributions come from those that are not tithing. And that becomes very, very good motivation for the tithers as well. If you say those are tithing, you are contributing already with your tithe. And those that are not tithing, please tell us an amount that you will give every month. And that actually brings a sustainable stability in the finances as well. That will give you direction to build. Very key that you use that wisdom as well. Finally, reduce other projects that may need more money in order to focus on the building project at that particular time. And if you are having a building project in the running, so please reduce other projects. Make sure that those projects that can wait, let them wait as well, so that we can focus on this particular one. There are many of us that while you're running a church, you're having a project, you start also bringing other projects into the fray, and you confusing the members. And at the end of the day, because you're having many projects, you don't have focus at all, and the church doesn't have a focus at all, and you find that majority of the people give up in the project that is very key, the project of building. I want to end up here today, your host, Micornus Phokane. I hope this helps you, and we are Church Governance Solutions, and we are on this platform restoring godly order in the house of the orderly God. And we are doing this through kingdom principles. And I hope that helps you and you learn out of it. Before we check out today, I want to remind you of our platforms, social media platforms. Our Facebook page is Church Governance Solutions, and my personal Facebook page, Micornus Phokane. So please like those pages, follow us on them, and the good Lord will bless you as you do that. Don't forget our Instagram and our TikTok account. They are under Micornus Phokane. So please make sure that you follow us there as well. Like those pages, and don't forget our YouTube channel. And our YouTube channel is under Young Men Empowerment Forum. Our YouTube channel, Young Men Empowerment Forum. And so please subscribe to the YouTube channel, like it as well, and make sure that you follow us through and through. And please make sure that you share this platforms with your loved ones, your family, your friends, and your colleagues at work. And please urge them to share the platforms as well, because there are many people that are desperate to listen to these particular teachings, and these teachings may be very helpful for them as well. And the good Lord will bless you as we share the platforms. Until we meet again with another topic, I want you to remember that we will always love you and advise you. And please communicate with us if you want us to assist you with any type of project regarding church governance and leadership and so on. May the good Lord bless you and allow us to check out right here and say cheers for now.